back at WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I have changed the view around here a little bit as I've learned to work virtual background and put to use all of my beautiful pictures of my favorite city in the world. And as part of our Baltimore Positive coverage and skipping out on just sports and what the Terps are doing and when the Ravens are drafting and what fun things are going on, I'm inviting some friends from around town on just to hang out and promote their place and talk about their place in Baltimore. And one of my favorite places, and it certainly has become a little bit of a destination even in the middle of the pandemic because there is some outdoor availability there, is down at the Sagamore Pendry down in Fells Point. I have spent most of the pandemic, most of my social activity has been within a block of Juan Webster's hotel, usually out on the corner at the Admiral's Cup where my dear friend Eddie Lauer, one of my lifelong friends, has been strumming the guitar. He's moving indoor. Juan, we're all trying to put this thing together here as we get up on the 1 year, dare I say, anniversary, because we don't want to celebrate it like that, marking how things have changed. I know things have changed a lot for you down in Fells Point. One thing that hadn't changed, my wife and I, we call upon you, say hello. You're always there. You were there when you worked at a previous place to put on two incredible events, which is how I got to know you. So first off, welcome to Baltimore Positive. It's great to have you on. And it's great to not have to stick to sports where we can talk about the really important things like how we're going to get folks down to your place and get the city percolating again, man.
I love it. Thank you, Nestor. Good morning to you. Yeah, this is exciting stuff. I'm happy to talk about Baltimore Positive and especially feature the Sagamore Pendry Baltimore, which is obviously where I spend most of my time when I'm not with my family. So honored to be here and love to, get started on talking all things here.
Well, I mean, first things first. I mean, I was born in Dundalk, right? So when I talk about crab cakes, you're not going to fool me, right? And
yeah.
This is where I've lived my whole life. And had a fun conversation with Todd Schuler from Blondell Miller Schuler and damngoodlawyer.com. You can find that at Baltimore Positive about going to the airport and getting not my passport, but my global, where I just smile for the camera the next time I go to Jamaica and they let me in, or I go to the Canadian border and I just wave to the fella as I drive across the Peace Bridge. So I'm excited about that. But I've lived here my whole life, and I don't want to say opportunities to live other places. I guess maybe that has happened to me, but I haven't really thought about living anywhere else but here. And, we sell an image of Baltimore, but not everybody's from here. People find their way here. I don't know your pathway in life. I'll tell everybody the true background and how I got to know you. I was throwing an event with Chuck Pagano, trying to find a space at a bigger hotel or grand ballroom, and was trying to bring my sponsors in. And my wife had just survived her first battle with cancer. We didn't know there'd be a second one, and you would host a second event. That's how I got to know you, man. You were like a local guy running a hotel who had some space, who was just, quite frankly, nicer to me than you needed to be. And all these years later, you're running like the most awesome hotel in the city right now. And we're doing it in the middle of this really weird plague thing where we're all trying to figure stuff out. What are the nice guy like you? How did you wind up in Baltimore, man?
Oh, great story. I'm a North Carolina guy. I came to Baltimore. Next month will be 9 years, March of 2012. And I came here from the Hilton Durham at Duke University on an assignment. I raised my hand with the previous company I was with and said, I wanted more. I wanted a bigger challenge. And they sent me to Baltimore on which was supposed to be an 18-month assignment. So notice I just said
in
I'll
the
be here 9 years.
hospitality industry, is that right?
Correct. I came here to manage the Sheraton Baltimore City Center over at 101 West Fayette Street. That was my first property in Baltimore.
So the journey to come to Baltimore, they could have said, and listen, I've met folks. I live in an adjacent to a hotel. There have been several gentlemen and one lady that's run the hotel here, and I've gotten to know them. And they become a LinkedIn friend, and they now run a hotel in the Gold Coast in Australia, right? Like
sure.
the hospitality industry, your industry, when you go into it, it's a little bit like being a football player or basketball player, whatever. Like you go where you're drafted, right? Like a little bit, right?
Correct.
Being a doctor's that way, right?
Yeah. No, especially if you want to advance your career, I think you have to be willing to move around a bit until you get to a point where you can, quote unquote, demand, and control your own destiny. Now you get to choose where else you want to go next or what the next steps are for your career, whether that's another city, another project. But yeah, that's the hospitality industry brought me to Baltimore, and probably the best thing that's ever happened because it's been, I told you it was an 18-month assignment, so I thought I would be here very short term, and here I am 9 years later. The most challenging chapter in my life, personally and professionally. But always, I tell people this, by far the most rewarding, and that's what's kept me here each time. So, there's been a few times where my foot has been out the door and say I'm headed elsewhere. I'm going on to another assignment, but Baltimore, in the best and the most positive way, sucks me back in. And I think the people here, the charm of the city, the people have literally put their arms around me and welcomed me and made me feel a true sense of place and belonging, and continue to raise my family here, and it's been great. So
See,
that's
I
why I'm
didn't know
here.
all about your family and stuff when we were just booking a ballroom 5 years ago, right? Like, we become
Yeah,
Facebook friends. I see a little bit of this.
yeah,
I see your activism in the city and the things that you're
yeah.
doing. And we've been on a couple of Zoom calls and visited and whatnot. But where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town in North Carolina called Madison, North Carolina. Very rural. I grew up on a long dirt road, potholes, creek rocks, and a very very small
Give me the town
place
again.
with a Madison, Madison.
Madison, North Carolina.
Correct.
Now,
Couple of thousand is
I Google
population.
everything because that's the way I roll. Man, you're
Yeah,
right smack dab in the middle of, like, I don't want to say, north of Winston-Salem, north of Greensboro, but certainly not anywhere near a city. Closer to Danville, Virginia than anywhere else, huh?
there you go. That's it. That's it. Out in the middle of nowhere. So I didn't grow up around a major city. I had to, when I first went to college, in fact, I would tell people to try to locate my small town and community. I would have to reference the next closest city, which was Greensboro or Winston-Salem. That is
And
a
they're
true
not
story.
close. They're not like walking distance.
Oh, heck no. Heck no. So I'm a country guy. Yeah, I'm definitely dirt road raised and proud of those
Country
country roots.
guy hanging out at
Yeah,
the Sagamore. I mean, what was the nicest building, nicest hotel you ever walked into before you left town, left your hometown? Did you ever go to New York once and see it? I mean, what made you
never.
want to do this growing up on a dirt road, man?
Yeah, never even traveled. The biggest excitement I would have growing up would be traveling to the family reunion, which I come from big families on both sides, and the biggest trip each year was going to the family reunion. Sometimes it would be maybe Myrtle Beach. There was a time when I went to Detroit, but not well traveled as I was growing up.
You didn't
But
see a lot of big buildings.
no, no, definitely not. I saw a lot of fields and barns and
No
like
wonder
that
Baltimore
type of
looks like
structure.
paradise.
Exactly.
Juan Webster's here. He's at Sagamore Pendry. He's the general manager there. We've become pals, and I'm trying to mix things up here and have people that are experiencing different things. Certainly from a business standpoint in the city and Fells Point. But back to your background, because I always find it fascinating what draws people here and keeps them here and makes them like literally get a shovel and say, all right, I'm going to build this. I'm going to build here, and
Yeah.
for you finding Baltimore and coming, country kid, nice school in a nice place.
Yeah.
9 years later being here, tell me what you found and what you thought you were going to, I mean, you took the job here. Is that the first day you showed up, or did you ever like come up and see the Inner Harbor, see a ball game with your family at some point?
I came to a family reunion in 2004. That was my very
So you
first
had
time to
been to the
Baltimore.
harbor once or seen this
Yeah,
before.
once.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then I came back through some professional conferences, maybe 4 or 5 years later, through some hospitality organizations, but
So you
never
didn't see
truly
it through
spent
the
time here.
wire. You saw
Well,
it
of
through,
course.
you'd been here.
Yeah, been here and heard about it. And even when I heard about it, to be transparent, it was not a place that I was like, okay, I have to get to Baltimore to live because you hear things, you see things. I wasn't sure if that would be the place for me, but
Well, you called it an
clearly I was wrong.
assignment. That's what it was, right? This
Yeah,
was,
it was.
hey, we're going to pay you, go there and learn your
Yep,
craft, or literally.
yep, correct, correct.
What'd you find when you got here?
Again, a lot of people that were so supportive, so embracing, and a guy that looks like me from where I'm from. It was rare to find someone in the space that I was in a leadership space in a hotel. So I think that stood out to a lot of people. And I mentioned my country roots, so I've always been approachable. That
I want
aligned
to
a
come to your
lot with
family
Baltimore.
barbecue, man. When I see that part of
You have
North
to.
Carolina, I'm figuring The Webster's going to
Yeah.
have good barbecue. That's just the first thing I'm thinking.
You better believe it. But no, the people here in Baltimore have just been so great. And I think that uh, I naturally wanted to get involved in the community around me. I naturally wanted to help people. And as a hotel operator, the thing about hotels, we very much become part of the community. So we have spaces for people. We have jobs to employ people. We host visitors. So a lot of times we're the very first impression of a city,
I was going to
of
say,
a
you're the
culture.
face of the community. When somebody comes
Yeah,
in and they have a good experience at your former Sheridan, or they come in
correct.
down to the Pendry and, they go
Yep,
across and see Patrick Russell and, get a
yep,
proper bowl of gumbo and take a walk and get a lobster roll down the street and go around and see my pal Ron Furman and get some proper barbecue down there. By the way, speaking of barbecue, go over and see Furman over at Max's, okay? And
okay.
get the beans.
There you
Get the
go.
beans, okay?
Okay, got it.
I'm telling, just get the beans. He's putting some special something in there. I don't know what kind of special love that he's doing to the
Yeah,
beans around there. But your neighborhood and where you are down there now, it is a bunch of Rons and Patricks and local people who
correct.
are invested as much as your company and Kevin Plank and all the people that have made it happen, that your property is meant to be a showplace, a centerpiece for the whole Fells Point community, sort of tying together. And all you need to do is walk through it to see it ties together the old, the new, the elegant, the past, outside the door, the cobblestone, all of that, that
Yeah,
there's an immersive experience that if you land here and you show up in Fells Point and you spend a couple of days in Baltimore, much like Juan coming from North Carolina, your opinion of us might change. It might look a little more sunny like it does in my photos, right?
that's right. There you go. No, I totally agree with you. I think that a day in the life in this my new role, it allows us to kind of showcase what new luxury looks like, what approachable luxury looks like, and it's a tribute to Baltimore. And I think that all things considered, it gives all of us here, all of the ambassadors, all the associates, a chance to really tell our own version of what we think hospitality should look like. And very proud of it, very honored and humbled to be able to represent everyone that's a part of it from Baltimore and beyond. And so we take so much pride in hosting people and giving people our own version and impression of Baltimore. And then when they hear, we get to tell them more. This is a lovely neighborhood. I was talking to someone earlier about how cool is it to experience a hotel and then walk right out on the cobblestone streets and take in every slice of culture that you can imagine. And it certainly feels good. You don't get this experience in every city. And I think Sagamore, Pendry, Baltimore has its place for a long time to come. Every city has that iconic hotel, and it's not just about the structure of the building, the amenities, or how well appointed the building is itself. It's really about the people, and the people who make it come alive. Like going through that pandemic, we saw firsthand when we had to close our doors temporarily. Uh, it is just a building. I've been in here several days by myself and walking the floors
A
and
little
not seeing any
shininess, a
guests.
little
Yeah,
weird,
it
right?
is. It is. But to welcome our associates back into the building and then to welcome guests, that's when the building really comes alive. When you and your wife come in and to be able to have that, that's when we come alive, when we host people. And I think, very fitting that, one of the things that we try to do as Pendry Hotels is at all times we inspire, service, and host. That's kind of our motto. And with that, truly believe in it. Think about it. What else are you going to do when you're in a hospitality room? Inspire, service, and host.
I'm going to roll you under the bus now because last time I saw you was in September,
Uh-oh.
and I was down with Eddie Lauer
Yep.
listening to guitar.
Yep.
I think I had a beer on the way, 2 beers when I got there, and then I saw you,
Yep.
and you made me have a drink. And then we ran into someone who wasn't supposed to be there, and I'm not going to even talk about it because there's no evidence of it. But this person insisted that it was a special occasion, and I have a shot of tequila, and my dear friend Julio Bermejo will be happy about that. And then we left you because my dear friend Steve DeCastro, we had a Roost Chris reservation because it was a special occasion. And it went there, and someone there, I was going to say his name, but I'm not going to give him away like this because he's the one who pushed me over the edge. that I had a rough morning the next day.
Sure.
And, at my age, I need to come back and do it right. I need to
Yeah, you do.
I need to start and finish at your place and not
Yeah.
meander all over the place, running into people in the middle. It's the only night we actually went out like in the middle of the plague because it was September. It was a
Yeah.
beautiful night. Because early, right, March, April, May, there was nowhere to go. June, July,
Sure.
people kind of coming together. By the time September came around, we're like, hey, better get out now because the weather's going to come, right? It was the
Yeah.
one night I think we did like an 8-hour. It
It was a full
started
day.
at 2. We got home at like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I cursed everyone along the way. Anyone that
Yeah.
served me a drink that day, I'm like, you're acting like I'm from Dundalk and I'm in Ocean City. It's 1989 and it's not anymore. So
Right.
I got to, just bring it down next time I come out and see you. But give me life in your place since the last time I saw you, since September, because some things have marched along normally. Other things haven't been. Obviously, with Brandon Scott and the city and locations and curbside and all of that. Give me the arc of the last year because I don't think anyone from a business standpoint was ready for anything like this. I mean, we've all made this thing up as we've gone along, I think, right?
Correct. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's been one of the most challenging experiences in everyone's career, and we'll remember this for a very long time. But there's a lot of lessons in what we've experienced over the last year, and I think the biggest takeaways are things like the pivot and being able to adjust and adapt. Every few weeks on what the economy looks like, how we can react and listen more to what we think the customer's behavior is going to be and anticipate that and bridge this gap between opening safely and giving guests a sense of place and having them feel comfortable
You
and
have a
along the
space in
way.
place. I mean, your place,
Yeah,
there is space. I mean, anytime I've
yeah,
been there, it has felt like, a place where I'm not going to have to worry so much about 6 feet. If I come down and dine with you, and especially once, 60 degrees this week, crossing fingers,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
first nice night, that's a place we walk. I throw you a text. Next thing you know, we're out on the balcony having one drink less than I had last time. That's all. Just one drink less. Just one.
we'll leave it that way, right?
It wasn't your fault, and it
Yeah,
wasn't Bruce Chris' fault. It was just
yeah,
someone showed up there, and I couldn't say no, and I should have said no, 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 no. Should have
there
mutumboed.
it is.
But
Yeah,
nonetheless, I just think like people are thinking now along the lines of what's the next. I'm thinking this when I'm getting this global pan. Like, what's the next fun thing I'm going to do? And I had Dave Shinan on last week. We were talking about the pond I
hmm,
discovered inside Patterson Park that I never would have discovered had we not had a pandemic, right? So we're all
yeah,
looking for something to do. And I think locally for all of us, your place sort of offers that, right? Like outside,
yeah,
it's very,
sure.
very natural that my wife and I, having been there once, would say we want to go back there. Because we've
Yes, sir.
noted in the year all of the outdoor spaces. We went up to Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, went to Longwood Gardens. Beautiful. Can't go to Disney World right now, right? Don't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
want to go to Hershey Park and get on rides, but want to
right.
do outdoor things. Your outdoor space is as lovely as any in the city. I would think first time it gets to 51 degrees, people are going to want to be out there with a sweater and because it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, we're very fortunate to have a well-appointed pool and the outdoor space that's conducive to, opening up your imagination. I mean, quite frankly, when you drive by the hotel, you don't get a chance to see our courtyard and open air atrium that's there by the Botero Horse and look up at the sky. You don't get to see the pool and what comes alive by poolside. So that we were very fortunate to have that outdoor space and kind of mix that in and it allowed us to open up and kind of spread things out. We were able to spread the operation. So you have Record Chop House, you have the lounge, and when you come in, it feels some sort of like a museum. It's a total experience, and just
The
walking
James Bond
through.
mirror, that's my favorite.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
looks
that's
like
it.
my background a little bit. Like,
Yeah, no, but you're right. In the outdoor space, the first chance we get at some consistent weather outside, we know that people still want to be safe, and outdoors presents an opportunity to not just allow you to socially distance, but to feel comfortable because you're outside. So that allowed us to not just become, you know, really good in the space of offering staycations to the local and regional area, to Baltimore and to DC and Philly and
Well, if you
everywhere in
want to feel
between.
special, come down and spend the night at your. I mean, that's the
That's
message,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Literally, right?
it really is. No, I feel that way. And maybe I'm biased, but like the outdoor space too. So you come in and you can go outside and you can just kind of hang around. Take in a view that is not a common view in Baltimore. Very, very, very special to us and a lot of people. So I think you're exactly right. But looking at how we bounced back from the pandemic, we decided to take a ramp up approach and not, bustle to get our doors open so everybody could march back through, but protecting our associates first and building the confidence in them that they could go out and do the right thing and make the right choices and through continued training so that we knew if our associates are confident and they're doing the right thing and they feel good, that's going to transfer directly to the guests. And then from that, we built up, we ramped up. We opened in July after a few months of being closed, and we just committed to only doing a certain amount of rooms because we didn't want to open the floodgates. And then, there was some demand there, but we turned it down until we got to a point where we felt like we had a good rhythm. And throughout the year,
And
we
that's
just
hard to do in the middle of
consistently,
summer because summer's your high. I mean,
of
that summer's when
course,
you really want to make it.
yeah, because we don't get to offer the pool in the winter season. You're exactly right. It's truly seasonal here, and it's a completely different experience. Always a good experience, but completely different experience for the summer. But
Well, I
we're
always
here
tell
now.
people this. Like I'm talking about my global passport and all this stuff. The wharf at Fells Point
Yep.
is it is the most European thing I can think of on this side of the water that would look like Ireland or look like Amsterdam or look like
Sure.
the UK. Just the boats, the harbor, all of that. It's the most European thing you can do, and it's right under our nose. And I think much like people in Baltimore don't appreciate Washington as much or even New York as much as people that live in the middle of nowhere and make, like you,
Yeah.
Madison, North Carolina, one trip to New York in your whole life, right? People in your block would think that's something, right?
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
live here and to experience it maybe in a different way than I did Dionysos when I was 18, underage, and maybe having a drink at Rodos back in the day, that it's a different kind of Fells Point. You know what I mean? And,
Sure.
and I think if you do live in Harford County, Carroll County, anywhere in the area to say, we're going to get down to Baltimore for a night, this is a way to do it that will be memorable if it's a special occasion for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, I actually had to really show so much gratitude every chance I get to thank the local community, to thank the region for their support throughout the pandemic, because we've been largely supported by people who want a staycation, who want to drive somewhere and still feel like they got an escape, whether they are having a night away from the kids or they're bringing the family out because people are tired of being pinned up in their homes. We played host to that, and it was a lot of fun. It was very rewarding, and it felt good to show people who live less than 50 miles away what special thing we have here in Fells Point, in Baltimore, and just to open their eyes to something that maybe they had no idea about, and to take advantage of it and to come back. So I've had people who come and stay. They'll make 3 trips. Their first trip is maybe on business, and they'll say, I'm going to bring my family back. And then they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to bring just me and my husband or me and my wife a night out on the town. And then, you know what, it's going to be a girls' night. So we get introduced to all these different groups, literally by word of mouth, by a great experience, and someone else tells someone else. And then there you have it. And we're talked about, and we become part of the household, and we offer that experience. And it feels good to know that we can play that role.
Well, I always say that about, a lot of local places, like the Guinness Brewery, Open Gatehouse. One day
Yeah,
they'll all fly in and want to come in. But in the meantime, I'm here, you're here, we're all
yeah,
here together. Let's take
sure.
advantage of these things that we don't have to fly off to do. And we can't fly off to do right now, whether it's the beach and local and the pool, a
Yeah.
weekend, a dinner. The thing that reminded me of you over the weekend is I had an old Dundalk friend. He and his wife and another couple were having dinner out on the balcony at your place last weekend. I'm
Hmm.
thinking you might have some heaters going on, or maybe it was an indoor picture or whatever. But give me a night at your place. Like if my wife and I are going
Yeah.
to come down on Friday night for dinner, what am I ordering? Make a little night for me here.
No, definitely. I think being able to come in, first of all, we're going to adhere to the local guidelines. It's really important to share that because, you're not going to come into a place. Our new way of busy is 25% capacity. That's busy now when you are making sure you have everything spaced out. But you come into a great menu at Record Beer Chop House, amazing cocktails, crafted in a way that, pays tribute to things like Sagamore whiskey and with the distillery there, and tying in everything local. But
I'm gonna
Chef
pull up your
Rob here,
website here, just because I'm
yeah,
on it right now because I want to like find them. I mean, look at this. I mean, for
yeah,
first things, it sort of shows itself, but I
yeah,
want to get to the menu here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I have several favorites on there, but like, to keep it simple, I love the Brussels sprouts. But we are a Italian chop house, so
I
we
was
have
talking Brussels
the
sprouts
thing.
with Evan over at State Fair, and I said, if
Yeah,
I send anybody in for one thing, and I said to him, 10 years ago, if you had Brussels sprouts on the menu, nobody would have ordered them. You know what I mean?
no,
You didn't eat
forget about
Brussels sprouts in Madison, North Carolina. I wasn't eating them in Dundalk,
it.
believe me.
Had no idea. Yeah, correct. But we specialize in premium cuts and steaks and chops, and we have a dry aged uh, beef machine that dry aged steaks and that are sit
Let's get
there
right to that
for
tiramisu. I want to start at the end, at the
goodness.
beginning. You got to do that?
They go backwards. Yeah, you can. So that's sort of nice. You got some fabulous desserts, some good pasta dishes,
I'm all
great
about those
salads.
scallops, too. Look at that.
Yeah, scallops are there. Yeah, I've obviously traveled all the way through this menu a couple of times, but I have my favorites, and it's always something exciting. We always try to
And you do a
do
Sunday thing,
something.
too, right?
Yeah, we do a Sunday thing. We're doing now a Sunday special where we are doing these carry-out meal packages, and we partnered with Living Classrooms. Just a community engagement, a way to support and
One of our
to,
favorite groups. I mean,
yeah,
I've worked with Living Classrooms for 2 decades now. James Bond and
yeah,
Maritime Magic's been a big part of our life for going on
yeah,
2 decades now. And Coach Billick, that's his #1 charity. We've tried to push everything forward. So I mean, there you have it. I invite you on. I don't even know you're doing stuff with Living Classrooms, and you are right down the street.
yep. Yeah, no, Sunday Supper Series, we are a contribution from that meal goes directly to the Living Classrooms organization. James and team over there, they do great work in the community, and it's important for us to stay connected to everything in Baltimore, even if we have to go out to it to find a way to support it. A lot of people look at the Pendry at first glance and may not think that we are approachable, but we're strongly supported by the community, and that works both ways. So we're proud of that, and that was just a thing that we didn't even plan to talk about, but was there on the
I'm going to
menu. You can
approach
see it
that
when you
bar
got it.
right out there by where I got a view of the Domino's sugar sign. Apparently, they're
There you
doing a
go.
new sign, so I want to get a close view of it with you. So, hey,
Yeah,
man, it's 60 degrees. We could start to dream about this pool, right?
yeah. Hey, sooner than you think, and I think with this pandemic, Nestor, you'll see that outdoor spaces throughout the globe will get a new look. And what I mean by that is we're going to be extending the outdoor season longer than we ever have before. Typically, our pool season is open Memorial Day through Labor Day. I think now, because we know people want to be outside, you may not be able to swim, but offering poolside dining and that experience and drinks and bar, we'll open as early as we can,
If I come over
conducive to
on
the weather.
weekends and help you clean it a little bit, can I use it? I mean, is it kind of like a
Okay.
neighborhood like that?
We'll have to work something out, man. We have to work
Well, I mean,
something
if you
out.
need to get it open early, I mean, I roll my
Yeah.
sleeves up. You know what I mean? I know how to
Yeah.
work the little scooper. I mean,
There you
won't be
go.
any bugs in it this time of year. It's early, right? No, you don't
Yeah.
have any leaves. You
Better
know?
believe it. Yeah, we're good. We're definitely going to get started a lot sooner. We're hoping to have the pool experience and water side as
Hey, man,
early
I've been
as
doing
April.
yoga and working. This is my roller here under my feet. I'm 145 pounds. I mean, I eat a lot of desserts, and I'll talk a good game with tiramisu, but I'm pool worthy at 52. I'm ready to go, man.
Go for
I'm
it.
in the best shape of my life. This pandemic.
Yeah, we have a place for you. You can believe that. We have a place for you.
I don't need a cabana or anything. I mean, just a little towel. I'm Dundalk. Just over here. I don't need anything too special. I mean, friends with cabanas are like friends with boats. It's great to have friends with
Yeah,
cabanas. Juan Webster is here. He's the general manager at Sagamore Pendry. Get over, have a chop, spend the night
yeah,
out, plan
yeah.
around it.
Please.
Like this Wednesday was beautiful weather. Plan a sunset. Come down, have a cocktail outside, and enjoy. Take in all the Fells Point has to offer in our beautiful city. We love Baltimore, man, and I love when transplant guys like you come, you stay, you fly the flag, and there's been so much local investment. And I think
Sure.
that's something that gets lost when we see these cranes in the sky here and we buy into this narrative about murder rates and the wire, like all of that stuff. And I think,
Yeah.
man, I see people here, and since I've really begun Baltimore Positive, and I guess I've always been doing Baltimore Positive, but starting to bring people like you together and saying
Yeah.
how many good people we have in the city trying to do good things, trying to do great things, in
Yeah.
many cases, but at least doing good things and doing the right thing. And I think I'm moved by that over the last couple of years about how many good people we have here.
Thank you, Nestor. I mean, humbling words. I think the same of you, and for this platform, I agree with you. Again, those are what you just mentioned are the reasons that we are still here in Baltimore. We believe in Baltimore. We want to be a part of any opportunity that has a chance to tell our own story, our version, and not what you always see in the headlines or hear through social. But there's a lot of great things happening in Baltimore. There are a lot of phenomenal people, innovative, and pioneers, and yet there's so much history here. So it's a great place to be a part of, and I want nothing more but to see this place win and succeed. And I think there are a lot of people out there ready to support that effort, including yourself. So
Well, we're
thank
going to
you.
get a shot here. We're going to get rid of the mask. I'm going to stand in front of the James Bond mirror, and I'm going to eat those Brussels sprouts. I'm going to order extra pancetta with them when
Go
I
for it.
order it, all right?
Yep, definitely.
Juan, always a pleasure, man. Take care. Keep it safe down there, and best to the staff. And we'll be visiting soon. Spring has sprung around here. I'm getting an early start, all right?
Yeah, we're open for business here at Sagamore, Pendry, Baltimore, and we look forward to hosting you and the rest of the neighborhood, everyone that's in and around the area. So, Nestor, thank you for the
I'm getting the
opportunity.
map wrong. It's
Listen,
on this side. If just right
there you
down the
go.
waterway there. If I got to learn how to. I'm going to talk to Marty Bass about how to get the pointer finger working the right way on the Zoom thing. But get on over to Sagamore and find Juan and all my friends on the Facebook who do that. We appreciate that. Juan, take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you, Nestor. Really appreciate the opportunity.
There he
Have a good
goes.
day.
Eddie Lauer was on my Facebook saying that like he was playing indoors, which is nice. So a shout out to everybody down at Fells Point, keeping it alive down there. Our neighborhood. My wife and I are going to be going for a walk early and often, finding the outdoor spaces. And I'm trying to sort of give some love. We talked about the Patterson Pagoda last week with Dave Shine, and I didn't even know that his album was inspired by that. So the more we dig and the more we talk to people, the more we're finding great places to eat, dine, and spend some time. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore Positive.